What's up, guys? Frosty here today for another Frosty Features. Today, we are covering Quasar, the character most of us should have gotten for free and got decent stuff on. I just got him to 5 red stars because I refused at first to build Thunderbolts. I might be coming around, I don't know. But anyway, Quasar. So what this is, if you haven't been here before, is a comic book background on the tunes that you use in Marvel Strike Force, and I am your humble guide through the pages past. So, with that, let's begin. Let go. There we go. According to Scopely, what this is the blog post description that is supplied by Scopely to give us a little bit of background on the character that we're getting in the game. So this is the one we got for Quasar. So note, as I'm going to read this out loud to you all, and we are going to rate it at the end of the feature. So here we are. Quasar. Wendell Vaughn was a promising S.H.I.E.L.D. agent who defied expectations when he proved worthy of wielding the quantum bands, ancient artifacts of immense cosmic power. Transformed into Quasar, protector of the universe, he gained the ability to manipulate quantum energy, create powerful constructs, fly at high speed, and survive the vacuum of space. With a strong sense of duty and a connection to the very fabric of the cosmos, Quasar stands as one of the galaxy's greatest defenders against threats beyond imagination. So, that is Scopely's blog post description. Like I said, we will be rating that at the end of the feature. This is Quasar. Name is Wendell Vaughn. Got that right so far. First appearance is Captain America number 217 all the way back in 1977. 1970s Marvel was very much about space exploration. So getting a character like this is definitely not out of context. He looks an awful lot like Captain Marvel. And he actually hits the scene as Marvel Boy. We'll talk about that a little bit. But one of the things you want to point out, he's in a lot, and a lot of his stuff it's less of the, how do I put it? In Frosty Features, a lot of the ones we have done in the past, they're either side characters and not noted, or they're main characters and they have this really long thing. Quasar kind of sits in this realm. He's possible to miss, even if you read a lot. He's possible to miss because he is a very important character, very powerful character, but when he shows up, he's only around for a little while, right? So most of these stories, as I was going back through and figuring out what I wanted to talk about, and namely I catered it to MSF stuff, obviously, but as I was kind of going back through some of his stuff, a lot of his stories are like that long, like very like one-offs, maybe 3-issue runs, like, and then he'll disappear and he'll be gone for a while. Very much like disappeared for 4 months, disappeared for 4 years. His body was disintegrated and he was an energy form for a long period of time and comes up as a psychic entity, right? So just gone for periods of time, and he very much is used as this bookmark as like, this is how strong your enemy is. He's doing stuff to Quasar. And it's namely because Quasar's power is quite high. Powers and abilities. The quantum band. So, Wendell Vaughn, he actually pulls, depending on where you read, he pulls his powers from different spots. As Quasar, most notably, and especially used by Marvel Strike Force, we are getting all our power from our quantum bands, but we also receive the Star Brand at a point. And a few other types of things like genetic modification, things like that. So the quantum bands, we actually talked quite a bit, I think, about the quantum bands. I believe in Frosty Features Nova. Double check me on that. But somewhere in the depths of the Frosty Features lore, we have covered the quantum bands in pretty decent detail, I would say. But we didn't get to talk about specifically Wendell Vaughn, who's the most notable person who wields these things. So that's the thing. Energy manipulation. So we absorb and exude energy, specifically various forms of quantum energy or cosmic energy. Electromagnetic manipulation. So he can kind of do whatever he wants, and others. Ultimately, the quantum bands gives one the ability to kind of do whatever they want. Very much, and you especially in Scopely's description, it sounds like Green Lantern. Quasar is pretty much the closest thing we have to a Green Lantern, but the execution is so significantly different that I feel like it's a bit of a it's a bit of a stretch to actually make that work. And also, as Green Lanterns in the DC universe are worthy of their ring and chosen by the ring itself, the Quantum Bands, they don't even start out called the Quantum Bands, and their situation changes over time. So being worthy of the Quantum Bands is in current canon. When Wendell Vaughn first came across these, that's not how it worked. You could just put them on and use them. When they were first, they went through many different names. We've got the Quantum Bands, Light Bands, and I believe Cosmic Bands. There's probably some other ones out there as well. But just know the powers that they give are vast, and having them on is what gives Quasar his might. Aliases: Marvel Boy / Marvel Man, and also Starbrand. I couldn't actually find him actually going through Starbrand, but those that get the brand get the powers and act as Starbrand. So I'd be willing to make the argument that he has that title. He just he hasn't used it. So anyway, Marvel Boy / Marvel Man are the main ones. There's a couple of reality warping situations, Light Knight, a couple of things like that, where he might be called something else, but most notably, we've got Quasar, and then either Marvel Boy or Marvel Man. Affiliations, many. He's been in and out of a lot of different teams. Like I said, he kind of pops in and out of the comic book lines, and he's in a lot of stories. So he has a lot of affiliations. So I put down some that I just thought were interesting. Guardians, S.H.I.E.L.D., Annihilators, and Avengers. Background, I'm going to say this wrong. Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. He is a human being from Wisconsin, born as a human, raised as a human, grown up as a human, etc. Who died? Can't be a superhero or supervillain without somebody dying. And in the case of Wendell Vaughn, for him to become Quasar, the death of William Wesley is imperative. This is what leads him to getting the Quantum Bands. So we will talk about that. We're going to go over his origin and notable events. So we will be hitting that very soon. Leads with pacifism. A big aspect of Wendell Vaughn is that when he shows up to a situation, he's not a pacifist, but when he shows up to a situation, his first move is always to capture and contain, not to confront immediately, right? He's not trying to fight, but he's going to try to catch people and talk to them first. It's a big part of his character, and it's actually why he's able to wield the Quantum Bands before we change to the Green Lantern thing. Right along ego. There's a point, this is just kind of an interesting thing, depending on, ultimately, there's a few humans in Marvel lore who just kind of stockpile cosmic powers, entities, etc. Wendell's one of them. So like I said, he has the Star Brand, he's a Quantum Band, and then there's a point in which he fights Ego, and Ego's sort of like, I don't want to say he's a symbiote, but there's sort of a symbiosis situation where Ego's sort of riding along with Wendell Vaughn. So there's a big point of contention with Quasar, and one of the things we're going to talk about today. And after he spoiler alert, he's going to die. And what I'm talking about, it's comics. Everybody dies. Wendell dies a few times in comic book lore. There's a point when he dies and Ego is actually riding along with him, but we don't actually have a reason for Ego to not be dead as well. And we'll kind of cover that. Relationships. Oddly enough, once again, this is a character, because he pops in and out a lot, he doesn't have a lot of relationships. He doesn't have a whole bunch of friends, right? Usually his relationships are based specifically on the team he's with. There's nothing that's longing away from that, except for his relationship with Kayla Ballantyne. So we've got Dr. Gilbert and Lisa Vaughn are his parents. Gail Vaughn is his sister. Kayla Ballantyne is the only person I could find that had a romantic situation with him, and it is a relationship that kind of, it goes for a long time, but it is very hit and miss on what their relationship actually is. But it does seem to be romantic, but it's never stated what it is. Not to my knowledge. If it is, let me know in the comments. But not to my knowledge, it's not explicitly stated that they were lovers or in a relationship at all. So, but there's something there. He's also had situations with Moondragon, but it wasn't, most of what, if you look through his stuff, most of the stuff he goes for isn't reciprocated. He's got a thing with Moondragon, Phyla-Vell, but And if you know anything about Moondragon and Fire Vel, that wasn't going to work anyway. Frost features Moondragon. But yeah, there's that. Oh, Frosty features Fire Vel is the one where we covered the quantum bands. I just remembered. So there you go. Notable events. The origin. Born in a small Wisconsin town. I don't actually know if it's small. I don't know if it's real or just in Marvel. Marvel swings back and forth that way. But born in Wisconsin, he was raised. He's a smart guy. He joins, grows up, joins the army, regular human being still. He gets high tests, high accommodations in the army. He gets promoted to lieutenant, and then he applies for Shield Academy, where he gets he enrolls and starts to train as a Shield agent, and he gets high honors, full accommodations, whatever, through Shield Academy, and he becomes a Shield agent. They position him back in 1977. We didn't like to explain things like that we like to explain now, and he gets put in charge, not in charge, he's working on a project with one Wesley that we talked about earlier, William Wesley. He's working on a project that is, it legitimately is just the, Shield has come into owning the quantum bands. So in Marvel continuity, Wendell Vaughn is not the first person to have the quantum bands. The first person is, I'm doing really good at remembering things, is Robert Grayson. So Robert Grayson is the first Marvel boy. And at this time, I believe this is when we were calling them light bands. But ultimately, when his time as Marvel boy comes to an end at a point, Shield inherits the quantum bands. Essentially, they're handed over, right? Once again, Green Lantern rings when the person dies, gives it up, whatever. It chooses the next person that's worthy. In this situation, as of right now, hold the phone, just wait for it. As it sits. So these are just items that are left over. So with this, they go, William Wesley and Wendell Vaughn go to test out. They're doing all these tests, trying to figure out how this works. So William Wesley puts the quantum bands on, and shortly after putting them on, he realizes that he cannot take them off, and he starts to panic. And in panicking, he accidentally channels that quantum energy, and he disintegrates himself. So these things are a big bad deal, and we don't like that. But at the time that we are, maybe cleaning ashes off of the floor, Wendell turns around, and AIM, the Advanced Idea Mechanics, is attacking the facility, trying to get a hold of the quantum bands. And in an attempt to save the people that are inside the facility, Wendell Vaughn puts on the quantum bands, and he is able to use them effectively and stave off AIM and push it off. So what is revealed in this, the reason why William Wesley is disintegrated is because he panics. Wendell Vaughn is able to use the quantum bands because of that pacifist kind of thing that we talked about before, that I brought up. He holds back because he does not inherently want, and he's actually put in this, I didn't say this before, and I just realized, after he graduated from Shield, he wasn't put on as like a secret agent, whatever. He was put on in a science lab because they say he didn't have the killer instinct. He doesn't want to hurt people. He wants to protect people. So in putting on the quantum bands, his inherent reservation in hurting people turns into him automatically holding back power. Therefore, because he's channeling the power in a intentionally smaller way, he is not disintegrated at the beginning, right? So once again, at this point, he's not chosen by any outer being. He's not doing anything like that. He just happens to be the kind of person that isn't going to use all, he didn't set blasters to full, to kill. He put them suckers to stun, and it didn't hurt him, right? So that's how he ends up with the quantum bands originally. So from there, he's already working for S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. takes notice. He's a superpowered individual now. So then he ends up joining the group, which is the S.H.I.E.L.D. Super Agent program that we had. So this is a team that he's with for a short period of time. Very short, in fact, where he's in league, or excuse me, the team is consisted of him as Marvel Boy, and Marvel Boy, Texas Twister, Blue Streak, and Vamp. All names I'm sure all of you know. So as we go, he's Marvel Boy for a short period of time, and he graduates to Marvel Man. He's a full-grown dude when he becomes Marvel Boy, so he gets upgraded pretty quick to Marvel Man. At a point, what we find out is out of the four-person team, Blue Streak and the Vamp are actually double agents and they actually don't know that they're double agents. They don't know the other is a double agent, right? Which is kind of cool, kind of funny, interesting little thing. There is a political criminal syndicate known as the Corporation that likes to sway things by using super people to kind of change outcomes, whatever have you. So within the finding out that these two are double agents, what we find out is that the Corporation is looking to get access to the Hulk, and they want to be able to control the Hulk, as many government. If it's affiliated with the government and it's the 70s, they want the Hulk. So they're trying to get a hold of the Hulk, which involves Captain America. So Marvel Man at the time teams up with Captain America, and through this is they're trying to kind of stop this double agent thing, take this out. And then we end up getting a really angry Hulk, and it has to be taken down. So Marvel Man steps up, and it is a 1v1 with Hulk, and it goes pretty well for him. And this is actually where he graduates from Marvel Man and gets the title and becomes officially Quasar. So, also, for those of you who've seen Frosty Features before, you know what's coming. So, him taking on the Hulk, it might give you a pretty good indication on what I would rate that power level at. So that's an important thing to note. Annihilation Wave. So we in Marvel Strike Force, we have Star-Lord, Annihilation, and we have Nova. In both of these Frosty Features did I speak extensively about the Annihilation Wave. I talked about Annihilation Wave, and then another version of Annihilation. I've covered it pretty thoroughly throughout the series of Frosty Features. What is funny is what I cover in Novas, I don't fully touch on the beginning. So which is where Quasar comes in, and this is kind of what I was talking about with Quasar, where he kind of pops in and out, or he's in it for a very short period of time. So with Quasar in this situation, the way this works, the Annihilation Wave, so Annihilus, which we were getting a Marvel Strike Force as of this recording date, we're starting Age of Annihilus, and we've seen all his little bugs. He's an angry bug from an alternate dimension that wants to destroy all life in the Marvel 616. He wants to kill everything. That's just his move. He wants everything to be empty. He thinks it'll be better off that way, and he's wicked powerful. So he uses his Annihilation Wave, which is just a series of bugs, bug aliens, I guess. And they devour and destroy civilizations, planets, etc. So, Nova, and if, once again, Frosty Features Nova, if you want the full story, Nova's from the planet Xandar, which, if you watch the MCU films, is a big point, in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, Xandar. But so Xandar is destroyed, and in transit, by the Annihilation Wave, that gets back to Nova. There's a hive mind situation within Nova, so he gets this information pretty quick. So he teams up with Quasar to go and intercept the Annihilation Wave, and Nova's extremely powerful. Quasar is extremely powerful. So they show up. The Annihilation Wave is in between Xandar and the next planet, and essentially these two together start mowing through fleets of Annihilus's people, right? Getting pretty confident and pretty cocky in what's going on. So they start just absolutely wiping out fleets. The problem with the Annihilation Wave is there's a lot. And the Annihilation Wave is huge. There's just so many people. So even just going through, if they're killing hundreds or thousands of people or monsters or whatever you want to call it, they are, they're only making a little dent. They keep coming, they keep coming, they keep coming. So they have the wise decision to track down Annihilus himself, and find their leader, cut the snake off at the head, etc. And so they essentially punch through just waves and waves and waves of these bugs and get to Annihilus himself. 2v1 situation. And so they begin this fight, and Nova is taken out pretty quick. Therefore, we're now looking at this we're getting the idea, oh, okay, Annihilus is looking to eat everything, etc. And so, and throughout this too, Annihilus is seeking power, which is very important for what's about to happen. So, Annihilus and Quasar's holding his own for a bit, but then he gets grabbed. Annihilus grabs him by the arms, where the quantum bands are, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Wow, you have a lot of power. This is that looks delicious. I'm gonna eat you." And Quasar's like, "What?" And then all of a sudden, in this panel you see here, this is Quasar being turned to dust, or excuse me, a little blood spot on the floor. But he drains all of the quantum energy out of Quasar and essentially turns him to dust. And all that's left are the quantum bands. And at this point, Annihilus puts them on, right? Making him significantly stronger. Once again, Annihilus is an extremely powerful being, so he's not destroyed by the quantum bands. He was not chosen. He simply killed the wielder and put them on, right? Quick turnaround. As we find ourselves, if we skip to the end of the annihilation situation, we have our situation where with the Nova is a big part in being able to pull this off. Something Cancerverse, and then Phyla-Vell, right? Phyla-Vell comes along, and Nova and Phyla-Vell are fighting Annihilus, and Phyla-Vell touches the quantum bands, and here they choose Phyla-Vell to be the new wielder, which makes Phyla-Vell significantly stronger. And with that power boost from Phyla-Vell, and she's like Super Kree, Frosty features Phyla-Vell. There's a whole thing. Super Mega Charged Phyla-Vell, plus at the time Super Mega Charged Nova. They take out Annihilus. Bing, bang, boom. It's done. In her travels, so she now becomes Quasar, and in her travels, she ends up finding a endless psychic battle between Wendell Vaughn energy form, psychic form, and Annihilus psychic form, just sort of on this plane of existence. And she's like, "I don't deserve your power, take it." And he's like, "No, you're good." And then he like defeats Annihilus in front of her or whatever. And so he's like this crazy energy. He ends up coming back through a bunch of random happenstance. But anyway, that's his interaction with Annihilus. He's killed pretty quick. And then once again, if you read a bunch of different Quasar stuff, this is sort of a thing that happens to him, right? Maybe he doesn't die, but sometimes he just, goes off and does his own thing, and he sulks for a couple of years. So those are two big things for Quasar, right? One being his origin, the other one being relevant to Marvel Strike Force at the moment. So next up, power level. Marvel Strike Force doesn't care about power levels, but here on at Frosty Features, we do. Now, the way that this works, if you are a multiversal threat, that means you can end all of realities, being able to top over the multiverse at a whim. Universal means you can end your reality, maybe then hop on over to another reality and end that one. And that one. Cosmic means you are a threat on at small and a planetary scale, being able to destroy things like planetary bodies, and with enough time and effort, being able to take out solar systems or galaxies with, like I said, enough time. Nuclear means your power equivalent to that of a nuclear bomb, leveling things like small cities, and then also with enough time and effort being able to take out something like a small planetary body. Super soldier means you're at a level that is beyond all human capability at leveling things like brick walls or even up to city blocks. City means that you are at a human level, but trained to the absolute and utter peak of human ability. Think Olympic level athlete. In Marvel, we have a lot of mercenaries, secret agents, ninjas, etc. are at this level. And then there's Greg. Greg is the undead Asgardian that is spawned by Hela in Marvel Strike Force, and due to undead Asgardian physiology and just simple facts, when he's left alone, he is nothing. He is a nothing burger, and we are for the sake that he's a nothing burger, he will die. He is not a problem that you have to worry about in Marvel Strike Force if Hela is dead. So with that, we here on Frosty Features equate Greg to that of a regular, normal human being. Like I, being the regular Frosty that I am, I find myself in a secret facility where we have ancient rings and bands and necklaces, and we are doing a deep study. And Greg walks in and he wants one of them, and I put on some very magnificent jewelry. But since this is now in my reality and not the Marvel 616, there are no powers that are gained. But I put on this significant jewelry, jewelry to try to protect it. Greg has to go through me before he can take this jewelry from my cold, dead hands. And so the fight ensues, and bedazzled and absolutely dripped out Frosty takes the makes the KO and takes Greg out because regular human being level is Greg. So, therefore, in this situation, Quasar is ridiculously powerful. You typically see him running around. He tests Eric Masterson Thor, who's easily higher level cosmic power. And then also you see him running around with Phyla-Vell, Moondragon, high level cosmic people. He's on the Annihilators, which a big thing with the Annihilators that I like to talk about, the comic book Annihilators, is they're so powerful they shouldn't all be in the same spot, right? They're so wicked strong that they can't, ultimately if one of them moves, they can just rip apart space-time. So that puts him pretty significantly, like, nicely set in the universal level. The thing about Wendell Vaughn is he likes to hold back, right? And that also helps underline the enormity that is Annihilus and how strong he is. He is definitely one of the Marvel big bads, and a force to be reckoned with. So with that, according to Scopely, honestly, it was all right. They talk about him getting chosen, being worthy of the bands. It's not necessarily a thing. Once again, it's not a Green Lantern ring. Also, he puts on the band, he becomes Quasar. That's not how it is in Marvel lore. That's one of those things you can make an argument for it being Marvel Strike Force lore, but still, it's not canon. So, but outside of that, honestly, this is really just a description of his powers. His powers and a very basic idea of what he is. So I say it's okay. It's an okay description. Much better. We just finished a series where they didn't give a description for anybody. So definitely leagues above our last ones. So it's okay. I say nice try. Good work. So that was Frosty Features Quasar. I hope that you all enjoyed it. Please let me know your favorite Quasar moments in the comments, or if I got anything wrong, I'd love to hear that as well. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, and please, if you have a Twitch account, please follow on Twitch. I'd really appreciate it. Also, as a reminder, we do Frosty Features live Sunday mornings, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, on Twitch at the link above, YouTube link below. I hope that you all enjoyed this. I hope that you all have a fantastic, fantastic weekend. Most importantly, stay cool.